G'day, Stu here from UAVfutures, and today, well, it's Sunday, and what that means is I've been out flying for most of the day, and I smashed, I think, about 30 lipos today, and what I like to do on Sunday when I get home is film the question and answer. So what this is basically a weekly question and answer little video where you guys ask questions and then I try to answer as many of them as I can and sort of provide you guys with some extra information. Anyway, we're going to jump straight in and have a look at some of these questions, but also just a little note, if you want some answers for next week's questions, drop them in the comments below for this one, because this is how I pick all the questions for next week's question and answer video based on the comments that are in there. Anyway, enough rambling with the intro. Let's jump in and have a look at your questions. This first question, and a lot of 52 of you guys upvoted this one, so this one's like, Stuart, how do you afford all those quads? And the reason is it's very, very simple for me. I guess I'm in a really fortunate position, and something that I feel really blessed to be part of is with UAVfutures. A lot of companies out there send me these quads for review, so a lot of them I don't have to pay for. Look, I do still have to pay for some of them because sometimes there's no other way to get it. But yeah, I think that's probably the simple reason. That's how I'm able to have all these quads up on the wall, because without the support of the vendors out there and without the support of you guys enjoying the videos that I do, I wouldn't be able to afford all these quads. Because if I was spending my normal wage paycheck on these things, I don't think my wife would be very happy with where I'm investing our money in the quad wall. Okie dokie. So this one's another one with 38 people enjoying this. Want to know the answer to this one? Stuart, this one's from Dimple Poji. Motor soft mount, what's your take on it? Hype train or really works? Like many have been giving the green light. Look, I don't know. For me, I Loctite all my motors down and I screw them down as tight as they can be. I'm sure there would be some vibration, maybe the tiniest little bit of oscillations that in some flight controllers that might affect it and something like that. But for me, I really don't think that, look, my quads fly well enough without soft mounting, so I don't think I'm going to be doing it anytime soon. And maybe that's something with the flight controllers, like if you're getting oscillations from something like a motor spinning up or whatever it is like that, maybe that's something with the flight controllers design. So look, I'm probably not going to be jumping on it. You guys, I guess some people out there are loving it, and I think Joshua Bardwell, like however you pronounce his last name, he had a good video on it, and I think he enjoyed it as well. So look, it might have some sound basis behind it, but I'm not going to be jumping on that train anytime soon, because for me, my quads are flying great without their soft mounts. Alrighty, here's another one from First Protocol, and this one had 45 likes. So very interested on how you manage safety with so many lipos around. PS, great content and thanks. Well, pretty much in this room where I am right now, there's like an old fireplace that's unused, but that's where I store all my batteries. I'm going to grab something actually, which is very important. So that's where I store all my batteries. They're just over there, and I've also got one of these. So honestly, if you're getting a few, if you've got quite a stack of lipos lying around, I think this was like 20 bucks or 15 US dollars or something like that. Definitely get yourself a fire extinguisher as well. Make sure it's one that's safe for electrical, because you never know. I've seen some of those lipo fires out there and it can be really, really dangerous. So for me, if they do go off, they're going to go off in the fireplace. That's probably when they're most vulnerable. And always have one in the fireplace when they're charging, because that's where I charge them. And always have a fire extinguisher on hand. And that sort of leads into another thing that I think a lot of you guys out there, this one might really help a lot of people. And with being safe with lipos is a really big deal. I know a lot of people don't talk about it too much, but it's something to really take seriously. And there's sort of like 4 states that I want people to think about with their batteries, and I guess how you store them and how you look after them. So we're going to rank them from the safest all the way down to probably the time when it's the most sketchy. So number 1, when it's in storage charge, that's about 3.8 volts per cell. That's when your battery, your LiPo, is really happy to sit around and it's not going to be causing too much damage. Still be safe with it and have it somewhere so if it does go off, like a fireplace, it's not going to cause too much damage, but that's how it's going to be the safest. The next, I guess, stepping up the ladder in terms of danger rating would be if it is totally dissipated and you've just got an empty battery sitting around. It doesn't have very much energy, so if it does go off, it's probably not going to cause too much of a fuss and probably might just smoke or something, but it's also not good for the cell in there. So if you've got a really low or flat battery, definitely charge it back up to storage, because that's a lot safer. Moving along, the third state, which I think a lot of people, this is what I've been guilty of in the past, but I've changed it now. That's when you're leaving it in like a fully stored state. So you might think, oh, I'm going to go flying tomorrow. Charge up all your batteries, and before you know it, it's already raining, and you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to leave them charged to the side in case I use them in a couple of days. That's not really good, because that's not good for the cell in there, and if they do go off, there is a ton of energy in there ready to burst into some very, very hot fire right there. So definitely make sure you're putting those back down to storage. And then I guess the most dangerous state is during charging. So you need to watch your batteries all the time when you're charging, and keep an eye on the charger. And I constantly, I guess I'm like a bit of a hawk in charging. That's where I'm going to guess that 99% of accidents happen when you're charging. So from least to the safest all the way up to the most dangerous, they're the sort of 4 states. If you can, try to keep your lipos at storage charge all the time. Very, very important. Okay, Ruben Rumson. Question, have you ever had any trouble with the public about flying quads or with the police? I live in Victoria, but I mainly fly with a Phantom on my own land. Keep making awesome stuff. Thanks, man. I'm glad you're enjoying the videos. Pretty much, I've only ever had one dude come up to me, and he was very, very aggressive straight off the bat. And he was impersonating a police officer, and he was carrying on, and he was citing all these other regulations and laws and all this sort of stuff, which I was like, well, none of that has anything to do with what I'm doing. And I knew my stuff. I actually had a little cheat sheet that I pulled out and was like, look, here's what it is. Here's the legit regulations, because make sure you research your country's regulations. And then he didn't have any feet to stand on. So he backed down very, very quickly once I whipped out a laminated piece of paper. You guys should, that's a really good tip as well. Find your own regulations, print them out, and if you laminate them, it looks so much more official. So people are much less likely to argue with you if you've got some lamination. Regarding real cops turning up, I've had a few cops turn up a few times, and to be honest, all they want to do is see what you're doing, have a look through the goggles, and they're like, yeah, that's awesome. How high can it go? I've had cops say that to me. Wow, how high can that go? And it's sort of like, well, legally, or just how high can I make it go? And the cop said, I don't care legally, like just how high can that thing go? And well, it can go, I did a punch out and I said probably like that for 2 minutes. So yeah, I found the way I fly and the places that I fly, if you're not being a menace or annoying people or anything like that, and just having fun with your mates and flying around, I think that cops, in my experience, have it's been really, really positive. Alrighty, so someone called Dr. Durson wants to know what form is better, H-frame or X-frame? Also, what's the difference in flight control? Rubik's Cubes are cool. Yeah, they are pretty cool. Rubik's Cubes are cool. To be honest, what frame is better between a H and an X? I think that depends on the type of style of flying that you want to actually do. And also, one big advantage over a H that I don't think people mention too many times is it's a little bit stronger, because the spans of the arms are a little bit shorter on a H frame versus an X frame. But other than that, look, they probably fly fairly similar, and you're probably going to go with the one that's lightest. So most frames are X nowadays. We're getting some stretched X, which might make a difference. I'm yet to test a stretched X, but yeah, generally I would just pick a frame that you really like the look of, I guess. But Avery FP, I hope I'm saying that right. Avery FPV wants to know top tips for growing a small YouTube channel. And this is something that I should probably stop bumping the microphone there. This is definitely something that I think I would be able to offer a lot of advice with. And yeah, just keep at it. Do what you love, because that's how I started this. You know, like I remember I do this because I love it, and now I'm very fortunate where I get products sent to me. But just keep doing what you love and decide what you want to do. Like there's some other channels out there which are similar to mine, but some focus on micros. Some focus on like toy quads. I know Quadcopter 101 or something, he just seems to get lots of those toy grade sort of quads, which aren't really into me. So find your niche, find what you like, and just keep making content about it. For me, I love racing quads. Like that's where it's at for me. You know, that's why I always say subscribe for more FPV related content. So find what you love, and I think just keep working at that, because you're always learning all the time. And look, my first videos were horrendously, they feel so bad looking back on them now, but I was really proud of them, and just keep working at it, keep at it. And eventually I think if you're really passionate about it, people can see that. They can see your enthusiasm if it's something that you really love. And I think that's what people also like about this channel. They know that I'm crazy about this stuff and that I love this stuff. And so that's my top tip for growing a small YouTube channel. Just keep at it, keep working at it, keep making that content. And if it's something that you really believe in and love, I think that's going to come through in your videos. What are your top sites you trust and recommend to order from? Now, this one I guess might be a little bit touchy, because I really think if you can support your local vendors, absolutely email them, check what the response is like, because there's going to be thousands of different stores out there, so it's a little bit weird for me to say Bob's Reviews or something like that, unless I've had personal experience with those people. But what I would say is, if you're interested in a vendor, contact them, see how their service is. If they've got some cool products products, get it from that. In terms of global places, this one might be a little bit heated, but somewhere that I think really does have good customer service, and this is why I use them a lot and I do a lot of reviews for them, and that's Banggood, because yeah, sometimes they do send the wrong junk out or something like that, and that's happened to Grumpy Trev as well, where he's got some of the wrong things, but we've ordered a ton, and statistically between everybody who I fly with, all the stuff we've ordered from Banggood, if there's ever been an issue, it's very quickly resolved within 1 or 2 emails back and forth, and they usually just ship out a replacement free. So that is, I guess, one side. Yeah, there might be some stories of people not liking it out there, but I think, to be honest, for a Chinese company, Banggood does pretty good at, I guess, shipping out and fixing things up when they do make a mistake. Joe Solomon, Stu, can you tell me what a good transmitter is to start with to grow with in the hobby? And honestly, just go check out my video on the Turnigy Evolution, because that's what I fly with all the time, and for me that's perfect for these racing drones. Maybe if you want to get into planes or something else, maybe one of the FrSky radios comes out, and I should be doing a review on the new FrSky sort of radio that's coming out. But for me, I really love the Turnigy Evolution. I think I've mentioned that quite a few times, and I'll leave a link somewhere up here. But that's an awesome radio to start off getting into the hobby. I wish I got one of them from the start, because it's a little bit cheaper than the Tyrannus as well. Getting a heap of people saying congratulations to Mrs. UAVfutures, and also on the baby coming. So thanks very much, guys. That really means a lot to me. Some guy's going to save my G'day, UAVfutures is their ringtone. Okay, so from Brett Cooper, I'm doing my first build and I've got a clean flight board. Is it possible to reflect a clean flight board with Betaflight? I think what you're saying is like reflash. Give it a go. I really think most boards out there, if they should be able to run, if there's like a, let's just use an example of an SP-F3, if they can run an SP-F3 version, clean flight version, there's probably a Betaflight version out there, which I strongly recommend people to load up. If you're not using Betaflight already and you're still using clean flight, make that switch, because it is so much better. Alrighty, this one's a good question. This one's from Jake and Whale, and it says, a huge question. How do you tighten your props on your Wizard? And the answer is simple. Get one of these. These are like these little rubbery wristbands, because I've got the Wizard right here actually. That worked out well. These things can be really difficult to try and grab the motor in there. Use one of these. I often take these, keep these sort of in my bag anyway, so that's a good little tip. And I find I get a lot more purchase with these rubber bands. You can wrap them around the motors, and maybe if you've got some really tiny motors, these can help quite a bit to get a bit more purchase. So that's what I use. I use these. If I can't hold the motor tight enough, I whip out, I guess, one of these sort of elastic rubber band thingies. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they're called, elastic rubber band thingies. Kevin Quick wants to know, basically, he's got a lot of stuff in there, but he says one of his questions is, what would be the best build for my son to be able to spend time with dad, yet not kill someone? And I would really recommend just get a quadcopter that you're going to like to fly, because if you get a really cheap kit, look, it's probably going to be harder to fly than if you buy a good quality kit. So get a good quality kit out there, build it together. If I had a son, that's something I'd absolutely love to do together. I guess even with the daughter, I would love to build. My wife's probably listening thinking, there we go. If you're going to buy something for somebody else that you might be using too, invest in a good kit, and especially if you're worried about it getting out of control or something like that, a good proper quadcopter, or at least a little bit better than average quadcopter, is going to be a lot easier to fly and probably going to have less chance of killing someone than someone. Don't skimp out and get a really cheap kit, because that's where you can have some flyaways and things like that. Okay, so Shane Falkenberg, I hope that's how you say it. Hey man, how did you improve, and what skills do you or drills help a beginner to get better and better, especially moving to acro mode? So I think I mentioned this a little bit in last week's. Don't spend too long in that self-leveling mode. Just jump to acro mode, jump on the simulator. I didn't really use the simulator too much at the start, but if I had to do the process again, I would. So I would say jump on the sim, just practice flying acro mode all the time and keep moving forwards. And then really, it just comes down to practice. And I've really noticed this, I guess, in the last 3 months anyway. The amount of lipos that I've been smashing through, I've really felt my skills step up and up and up. And it's just all about getting on there and having some stick time. Oh, and a really important one, don't float around up too high, just floating around doing nothing. Once you've sort of got the basic hang of it, because there's nothing like aiming for gates and those sorts of things to really hone your skills. So if you're floating up around there, you're sort of giving yourself way too much leeway I think once you've got the basics down pat, try to hit some gates and some small gaps, and I think you'll see some big jumps in your skill level anyway. Alrighty, so this one's from MC Donald, I should say. His question: I'm happy to spend a little bit more money to improve the Ishin Wizard build. I'd like better FPV, and that's what appeals to me most. How can I get that part slightly better? Basically, if you can, think about picking up some on-way antennas, because they're probably going to give you a little bit better reception when you're flying around. Or another thing to think about is you could, depending on what if you have a different module in your headset, depending on what headset you have, you could also pick up a patch antenna. So there's sort of two different ways that you can go about that. Rick Patterson: I come from aeroplanes and dislike the idea of having gear, so like your battery hanging out on the bottom underneath your quad. So do they get scuffed or damaged from their landings? When on top, do they create a top heavy center of gravity? A few seem to tuck them in the frame for protection and natural balance. Honestly, I'm a big fan of underslung batteries, and I'm going to use this one. This one is actually an on-top battery, so that's probably not the perfect one. But for me, this is an old Drone Wolf pup, which was I put so many lipos through this about a year ago. This was one of my main flyers. Did a lot of filming with this. But when you're flying around, I find that, usually on this sort of angle, when I hit the ground, that's going to flip over and hit the top anyway. It's very rare for me to have a crash where I'm coming in battery first. So most of the time, if I'm landing battery first, it's just a very light landing or a little bit of a thump. Nothing that should really damage the battery anyway. So honestly, I think it actually handles better with the battery underneath because it keeps that weight nice and low, but that's just my opinion. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. I haven't really damaged too many batteries from landings. You can't do cool things like skids or anything like that. And some people even have I'll see if I can find one, hang on. Right here, here's one, that was easy. Some people even have like little landers or little parts you can put through your Velcro strap on the bottom as well, which make it even easier, I guess, to protect your battery when you're flying around. So if you're really worried about scuffing up your battery, think about putting a little piece of carbon on the bottom. That might help you guys as well. Alright, here's one from Ryan Todd. Your quads always look locked in and smooth. I'd love to see a video on how you tune your quads. Most of what I've seen is geared toward freestyle quads and not so much for racing. Is there a big difference between tunes? To be honest, I don't know. I just set my quad up. I put my rates at what I like, I guess, which is pretty natural. It's all around the 900 degrees per second. That's what I seem to set my rates up at. And I fly around, and a lot of people might not like this, and some of the pros out there might totally disagree with me. But to be honest, I just rock like default Betaflight. So whatever it is out of the box, that's what I use. And to be honest, it feels great 99% of the time. If I'm getting some oscillations or something like that, it's usually a problem with the quad, and the Betaflight part is fine. So in my opinion, just rock that default Betaflight and it is going to be fantastic. Andrew Squirmguard. Oh, is that how you say that? Surumguard. Anyway, on a scale of from 1 to stupid, how bad of an idea is it to fly FPV in the snow? Look, it's probably, someone sort of commented here a little bit. It's probably not the best for an Australian to answer, especially in summertime. Like I think tomorrow it's like 39 degrees Celsius, so really, really hot. But basically, I think there's some things like some sort of silicone coatings or Conformal X or some crazy waterproofers stuff out there. Waterproof it as much as you can, and if I had a choice, if I didn't have any other choice, I'd still head out and fly. Like I would still be flying in the snow, and my biggest worry, probably wouldn't be shorts too much, it'd be losing my quad. So if it dove into the snow, I want to be making sure that I can still find it. Alright Ethan, this one's for you. It says, I was looking at the Turnigy Evolution controllers and I noticed they came in mode 1 and mode 2. What's the difference and what do I use? So this one's really easy to answer. Basically, I use mode 2, and if you look at the sticks on there, you can see that this side, the stick is centered, and this side, it's not moving back to the middle. And that's because when I'm flying around, that means my throttle is on the left-hand side, and this is where all my pitch and roll are, so just here, and this part's the yaw. So it pretty much just means which one of your sticks is going to center to the middle and which one's going to stay locked in its position. And you want that part that locks or doesn't reset to be the side that you would like your throttle to be. So I would say 90% of the pilots out there, or 90% of new pilots coming into the hobby, usually fly mode 2. But there's crazy ones too, like mode 3 and mode 4. So I don't know anybody who flies those ones, but I think traditionally a lot of people flew mode 1, but for me I fly mode 2, and everybody that I know flies mode 2 as well. Glenn169, how do you handle strong wind? And I'm not talking about flatulence. Basically, when I'm flying around, I just keep flying until I can't. Even on the windiest days, I still love FPV and flying it as much as I can. And look, you probably can't go as hard or as fast or as smooth and some of those things, but it's pretty much got to be like a tornado before I'll stop flying. So these things, they have so much power, they can cut through so much wind. It was pretty gusty today, actually. But yeah, I guess I would just keep flying. It's not going to be as smooth, but it's going to take a lot of wind to really, really upset these things to the point where, for me anyway, that I can't fly them anymore. Riverman RC again, thanks for your awesome videos. Would you mind to share what you do for actual work? Is this YouTube channel doing it for you, or do you have to go out and work somewhere? Thanks again and keep up the great work. Alrighty. So this one's something that I get all the time, and it's, Stuart, basically, do you have another job? And yeah, I do. So I work in education and I work and help young people, and that's a full-time job, and I do that. I've been doing that for a long time. So this YouTube thing is just like a side thing that I love doing, and I started doing it because I was super passionate about it, and I'd never had so much fun, and that's still the reason why I do it. So yeah, I still work full-time every single day. Well, not on the weekends, but that's my normal job. And then I guess I'm doing this stuff on the side as well. So I really love this hobby, and that's why I make so many videos for you guys. So most of this stuff gets done after hours, after I finish doing my main job. All right, LJ Balone. So I'm going to paraphrase this a bit because there's quite a little bit there, but he's saying that he's never really done any soldering before, but if price wasn't an option, what tools, equipment, and first quad would I recommend? Basically, yeah, if you want to build one, that's definitely the way to go, because you're going to learn so much and you're going to be able to fix anything that goes wrong with your quad. But I would just recommend, like, if price wasn't an option, maybe something like the Firehawk, or look, I've got a ton of build guides on my channel. Check those out. As far as soldering irons go, I got a really cheap one that was like 20 bucks. I think it was called Trade Flame or something like that. And I was practicing soldering little bits of wire together that weren't even related to a quad. So I would say just practice working on your soldering skills, and eventually you'll get there. I've got a soldering video as well in some of my videos somewhere in one of my playlists, so check that out. Other than that, here's one of the biggest investments actually that people can get, and this goes for anybody out there. If you don't have a set of little drivers like this thing has changed the way that I build. In terms of, this thing has saved me so much time, because I used to have those little Allen keys or those little hex drivers that were the one with a little hook on the end. They're a nightmare. Go out and get yourself a set of these. I'm going to leave these in the description, actually, a link to these. I think they were like 10 bucks or something like that, and I use them every single day. I like them so much, I got them for a mate to say thanks, he did some work with me. I sent him a set, and basically he said he's used them almost every single day as well. So this is another really, really big tip regarding tools. Get yourself a little set of these drivers. They're going to save you so much time when you're in the field or working at home on the bench. Vincent Bodoon. Gee, that took me a little while to get through that one. Do you have any ideas for do you have name ideas for the baby? Yeah, we do, but I'm not going to tell you guys just yet. Chad Hurd. All right, I'm saving up to get into this hobby. My question is, if I'm serious about getting into this hobby, should I save up to get Fat Shark goggles, or should I go with a cheaper option? To be honest, this part I am on the fence because of the GT2, of the Goggle 2s that I reviewed a little while ago. They were a bigger headset style, and I thought they were fantastic, and they're about 150 bucks. So if you get that, you mix that with the Turnigy Evolution radio, I can see people using those for a long time, and they're future-proofing themselves a long time into this hobby. I would say years upon years you could use some of those. I plan to be using the Evolution for a long, long time anyway. As far as Fat Shark goes, look, that's really, look, you're not going to go wrong with Fat Sharks, but it depends how much money that is to you. If you're going to be using it all the time, definitely you could go out and buy some Fat Sharks. But if it's just something you're going to fly only on the weekends, then maybe those Goggle 2s will be enough for you, because I think there'll be a lot of pilots out there. I'm going to leave a link to that up here. Watch that review of what I thought about it. But I think there'll be a lot of pilots out there who would enjoy that Eachine Goggle 2 just as much, if not more, than Fat Sharks as well. Alrighty-o. Nuno Pulio, man. Nuno Pulio. Nuno Paulo. Okay, I got it. Nuno Paulo. All right, sorry, I tried a few times to pronounce your name there. Hey there, thanks for the great work. How do you control the voltage of the battery during a flight? So basically, there's a few different ways you can do that, either through telemetry, where your radio is going to be speaking it back to you if you're using something like the Tyrannus radio, Or what I like to use is just an OSD, so that simply flashes up what your voltage is while you're actually flying around. Now, not all quads have that. Usually are more expensive quads with more features will have those. And sometimes when I'm reviewing some more budget quads, there's no OSD, so there's no OSD in the Wizard at all when you're flying around. And if that happens, I just set up a little timer or a stopwatch, fly around for X amount of minutes and land, and then I guess rinse and repeat until I find, sort of gauge how well I can fly, and it's sort of, I just play it by ear, or play it by ear. I don't know, what do you say, play it by ear, one of those two. But yeah, so either use a timer, telemetry, or what I like to use in most of my quads is an OSD. So Fizzy FPV's got a really good one here, and his says, question, g'day Stu, g'day. When you go out for a fly, how many different places do you fly at, and how many people on average do you fly with? Also, is it possible to actually progressively get better at flying with people that are less experienced than yourself? So that's sort of three parts really. I'll answer the first two. So a lot of the time I'm going out with maybe, it's usually always at least one other person. Sometimes it's just by myself, but on average, I'm going to say three is probably the average that I'm flying with most of the times. It can range up to 6 or 7 or just down to one other person. How many different places do I fly at? I got a whole bunch of different places that I've sort of been marking on a little map, and our crew's been getting to know, because look, it gets boring for me going to the same place all the time. So for example, I wouldn't go down to the chimney this week because I did a lot of stuff over there over the Christmas sort of period. So I've been trying to break it up a little bit and go to some different places, and it depends what sort of quads you have as well. And then, is it possible to actually get better at flying with people that are less experienced than yourself? Yeah, totally. Like, I feel like the people that I fly with, like so Grumpy Trev and Pezzy D, they don't put through as many batteries as I do. I always seem to be just ripping pack after pack after pack after pack. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, I wouldn't swap those guys out for the world, because, you know, there's nothing like flying with your mates. And you'll find, well, it depends what you want to get out of the hobby, but for me, it's all about having fun and flying with your mates. So that's something that if you're still going to get better, you don't need to be surrounded by the best to improve your skills. If you just set your own goals, and a lot of people say, just fly your own race. And I really think just by putting that stick time in, you're going to get better. So rather than think about surrounding yourself with the best of the best pilots to improve your skills, surround yourself with the people that you love to fly around, and you're just your mates that you're going to have an awesome time with. Because I know for me, my skills have gone like so much better than they were even 3 months ago, and I feel like I'm still like, well, I'm the best pilot with the people that I fly with. But that doesn't mean my skills aren't improving just because those guys are not up to where I'm up to yet. I'm sure they will be up to there one day. I've just had more stick time. But yeah, just fly. I'm rambling here, but just fly with the people that you enjoy with, and you'll find just by flying, you'll still be progressing your skills. All right, Alex Gerard says, what video games did you play? And yeah, so I used to play a ton of video games sort of before I discovered quads, and probably the one I sunk the most of my life into was this one called Path of Exile, which was this very obscure, like, I don't know if it's still obscure or not. It was back in the day, and it was like a beta version. That when I signed up to it, I sort of started way back when it started, this very obscure sort of New Zealander company. But yeah, that was a game that I sunk a lot of time into. Mike Skiddo, I'd like to see some 6S setups. Me too, brother. Me too. I can't wait to build some 6S, or at least some 5S stuff. I've got some 5S batteries sitting down there ready to rock and roll, so don't worry. I plan to be building an absolute beast very, very soon. I just got to get the right components, because a lot of things run that sort of 4S range, but jumping up to 5 and 6S, especially for motors, makes things a little bit more tricky. John Rector, what kind of dog do you have? I've got a brown lab called Charlie. He's about 5, and he is absolutely awesome, so I love him heaps. The Magnum. Your intro really grew on me, damn it. I really like it. It took a while, but I'd miss it if you ever stopped, so don't. That's not really a question, but a lot of you guys gave that a thumbs up. Yeah, that just became part of the show as well. Like, I just started saying g'day, and that was something that I sort of started doing. So yeah, I agree without saying g'day, and I feel weird if I don't say that. Say subscribe for more FPV related content, and you know, if I don't do that little spiel. And there's one other little addition, and he's always around. This guy right here. The chopstick. This is from like the local Japanese or Chinese place, and this thing's been with me from the start as well. I've actually gone back and nicked a few more, so I don't know if it's exactly this one, But yeah, this little chopstick Chinese pointer has been with me from the start as well. All right, Adam Murphy, really good question here. I'm going to cut it out to this middle part because a lot of it he's just saying thanks and how he discovered my channel. But he says, with all the great ready-to-flies and almost ready-to-fly quadcopters on the market, what's the benefit of building one yourself rather than just the satisfaction instead of just buying one off the shelf? And basically, you are going to learn so much. You're going to learn soldering skills. You're going to learn how it all works together, how you program it, all that stuff, which is really important because, buddy, you are going to crash it. We all crash our quadcopters out there. And if you have the choice, and look, for me, it's really enjoyable. If you don't like building, fair enough, but I really like building. And for me, when it breaks, because I've built it, I know exactly how to fix it. Because if someone gave me, for example, like a Phantom or something like that, and it had broken and said, Stuart, fix it, I would have less of an idea instead of, because I've never put one of those together. Whereas if someone gave me a racing quad and said, Stuart, this is happening, I reckon I'd be able to probably fix it if I had the right parts very, very quickly. So it's pretty much the knowledge of how it all works together, which makes it a lot easier to fix in the future. HD Vector says, your dog or your wife? Well, I won't answer that. She's listening. Richard Glasser, congratulations. Is this your first child? And when's your wife due? So we've still got a few months to go, but yeah, this is going to be our first kid, so we're very, very excited. Thank you very much. Samuel Sherman, what props do you recommend? I've been absolutely loving the Dow Cyclones, and I have smashed through pack after pack on those bad boys. And yeah, I need to order some desperately. I think I only have one set left. So for me, Dow Cyclones are the bomb. I love flying them. Elias Trigger, so what's your thoughts on the Quad Vlog? Well, I don't know what that is actually, but have you entered any major races or plan to? You definitely have the skills for it. Thanks, brother. Basically, no, I've never entered any races or something like that. I feel like it would be really fun to compete and those sorts of things, but for me, I just want to get out and fly and have friends. I want to get out and fly with my friends and just do lots of packs and have a great time. And it's for me, it's not really about winning or being the best or anything like that. It's just about being free and having an awesome time. So look, if I rocked up and a race was happening, I'd be, yeah, sure, this would be fun. But it's not probably my main priority. And there are some people who that's all they're focused on, and that's what's really important for them. But for me, what's important is just having a good time and flying around and having a bit of a laugh. Alrighty, so this one's from Daniel Strainer. Do you have less fun after doing these things for so long? And he's saving to get into FPV right now. He loves my videos. Keep doing what you're doing. No, not really. Like, I started doing this and making these videos, and look, it was something that I was really passionate about and something that I loved. And I've been doing it for probably almost 2 years now, I think, at least flying for 2 years. And I'm more into it than ever. I spend like probably way too much time on it, more time than I should on it. And yeah, I absolutely love it. So the more time I spend flying around and with FPV, the more fun I'm having with it. And once you get out there, and I'm sure so many of you guys can relate, and you're free and the quad just is clicking and you're like one with the quad and you can go wherever you want and do whatever you want. It's like, for me, a form of dancing or expressing myself. Yeah, you can, look, I absolutely love it. So I'm not losing any love for this. I still love it just as much, if not more, than that day I started. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed that, because I'm pretty sure that dinner's ready and I'm going to go off and eat some tea. But subscribe for more FPV related content, and definitely if you have a question, stick it in. If you have a question for next week, stick it in the comments down below. And if you find another one you want to know the answer to, definitely give it a thumbs up, because that's really important, because there's over 350 comments in this video, so it's hard to get to all of them. But if you see one you think that's a really good one, definitely give that a thumbs up, because that's going to push that to the top and make that a lot easier for me to see. Anyway, enough rambling from me. I'm about to go eat some dinner, but subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying. I think we're about to have like stir-fry beef or something like that. I'm pretty excited. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page, because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.